We're going to talk about cheap and easy ways to preserve your food for the long term, and really a way that you can do it right on your kitchen cabinet. So we're going to get started right now. We are back in the kitchen. We're actually going to be doing a series on elaborating on our food pantry video. So pretty excited about that. So today's feature is we're going to talk about our dehydrator.
This is what I have been doing the longest and probably my most favorite way to preserve food because it is so easy. The difference with dehydrating your foods and a lot of other ways of putting up food is once you have your dehydrator, that's basically the only thing that you need. You can choose from anything as cheap as a secondhand store, a few dollar dehydrator, which is where I've had one before, or you can get on anywhere and find them for $20, $30. Now they're gonna do like your most basic dehydrating of food. You can put anything from herbs to flowers for medicinal purposes. Fruits and vegetables that are not real watery can go in these type dehydrators, and you can put those up. That to me is like a super easy way to put food up in your pantry that you can have for a really long time. You know, if you want to get a little bit more expensive, which is still very cost effective, and be able to do a lot more things, you can spend a few $100s and get a little bit different of a dehydrator. Now I'm just going to share with y'all what we have. Excalibur food dehydrator, and it's something that Colby bought me as a gift a long time ago, and I have really put this thing to use. First, I want to talk about some of the things that I already have in jars. This is some peppers, kale. Now we use this a lot in smoothies that we add to, so these was kale right out of the garden. Mint and tarragon, these can be used in teas. Rosemary, oregano, those are just a few of the herbs that I have. So the thing with kale is it is definitely a superfood. Have something like a superfood that you're growing and you just don't want to eat it all the time. Like we just didn't eat kale all the time. But it is a way that I can take this and preserve it. And when we're eating something that might not be great option, you can always throw this into, like I said, smoothies. You can put it in eggs, omelets. That really the sky is just the limit. And then you have a nutrient packed type of food, and a little goes a long way. So this is really a great option for putting in your dehydrator. Spices, they're great to have.
Just food dehydration.
So one of my most favorite things about having a dehydrator like this is that I have options of something as delicate as herbs that need a really low temperature. And as you can see on my control panel, I can turn the knob and adjust the knob to where the temperature, I believe it is 105 degrees. Very low for foods that don't need high heat. I can also raise that up to any type of living food that I don't want the heat to kill a lot of the nutrients out of there, to something like vegetables, fruits, fruit rolls, anything like that. The control at the top will tell you can see that it's color coded, that you will adjust the temperature according to the food, because it does need a little bit more temperature if the food has more water content to be able to draw that out. Now, as you also see, meats, fish, and jerky, that is like an amazing option that you can take those foods, put them in the dehydrator, pull the water content out of them, because water equals spoilage. An amazing thing to be able to take those type foods, put them in here, and be able to take those foods and put them up in your pantry for a really long time. Now, another thing that I want to mention about having a dehydrator is you can also utilize it for things like raising your breads. If you want to make a bread and put it in there and turn it on your bread setting, it will give it just enough heat to get that yeast to rise. And also yogurt. I also do this a lot, especially during the winter when it's pretty cold. I can pop these trays out and put my yogurt in there so that my cultures will go ahead and ferment that yogurt. So it's a great tool to be able to have as far as a dehydrator goes, because you can take anything from delicate herbs, like I mentioned earlier, from fruits and vegetables all the way to meats. Pull that water content out and put those foods up in your pantry, and you can use them as you cook, or you can put them back for years later and pull them out and use them in any type of emergency situation that you need them.
Another great avenue when it comes to the dehydration and trying to be as economical as possible is if you find something like at a grocery store, or like we buy from Azure Standard, or our gardens are doing good and we have a huge surplus of something such as onions or potatoes, or even we have a animal harvested, ways that we could turn around and take it away from putting in cans, ways that we can take away, put it away from freezers, we could turn around and utilize them in the dehydrator. So Misty took our onions, we had a huge surplus of onions, and instead of us trying to braid them and hang them or try to put them in some kind of canning situation, she was able to just dehydrate them and made a powder. And that powder's gonna last a lot longer than what onions sitting on your counter would last. One thing this last few years has taught us is when we see bulk foods and you're able to buy something, sometimes that won't last a long time on the shelf. So things such as products such as fruit, vegetables, utilize your dehydrator even more than sometimes your freezers. I think about our meat. We have a lot of meat in the freezer, but if there's ways that we can make jerky out of it, then we need to be able to utilize that, because the shelf life on that's going to be a lot better than if a refrigerator quits, or if the grid goes down, anything like that. Again, our goal is to make our pantry last longer to take care of our family.
When I mentioned the easiness of a dehydrator, y'all, please always make sure that you follow your user's manual and follow those instructions. Now, I find this super easy to do, especially when I go out and harvest something. I usually bring it in and throw it right in my sink, wash it off, put it in my salad spinner and get it as dry as I can. Pop it in a dehydrator, put the top on it, and I don't have to worry about it for a day or two. For me, this is it can be, like I said, super cheap, but it's still a very economical way to dehydrate your foods and put them up for a long-term use, to where you have supplies in your pantry if need be, and for a very easy way and a very economical way as well. If you guys like what you've seen and hopefully learned something, we're going to continue to share along those lines, so y'all please subscribe to our channel.
And if you are interested in seeing more of our pantry, we have a pantry tour. We'll link that below. But please know we want to give you every aspect, and now we're going a little bit more depth of this series of talking about how to preserve your food and how it is for us to raise a family of 8.
Happy homesteading, y'all.
Happy homesteading, y'all.